Which brings me to my very next guest. It's Cindy Lou. Good morning, Cindy.
Morning, everyone.
How you doing?
Good, I'm good. It's so good to be here.
Oh, cool. You look
Thanks for
sprightly
having me.
and fresh. I love it. Far out.
I'm wearing one of my frocks that got a lot of likes and loves on my Frocktober quest. So I'm wearing that for everybody out there who's watching and who love this particular frock. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Have you got a deep collection of frocks?
I can't believe how many frocks I have, Troy. Like I was when I signed up for this, like an hour after I signed up, I said to Duncan, what have I done? Have I got 31 frocks? Do I actually have 31 frocks? And as I was going through my wardrobe, luckily I'm a frock girl and I've got a great collection of frocks. But I have borrowed some, and I'm actually heading into one of my favourite shops here in Geelong, who have beautiful frocks and gifts and things, Ruby and Leo out in Height and Meg, and they've told me that I can try some on and take some photographs without having to buy any. So that's really awesome.
Oh, cool.
So,
cool.
But I think I've got 31 exactly.
I haven't noted. Have you done Frocktober before?
Never done it.
Yeah.
And it literally just popped up on my Facebook page because I'm, in lots of different cancer groups, ovarian cancer groups, and it popped up literally a few weeks ago, just before October.
Yeah.
And I went, this is something I'd love to be part of, and just signed up. I signed up and put my target as $850, and I'm today at $2,475.
Go friends.
So
Go friends.
Awesome people, just amazing. The outpouring of support, like people are just, and I think because of my recent journey, I think it's still very fresh in our minds about what I've just been through, and people just wanting to throw support in. And luckily Anne said yesterday, what an amazing organisation, and all the funds go directly to projects that they're working on at the moment. And it just that's something that I really wanted to get behind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you are here in front of us talking, and because you have experienced ovarian cancer, how do you feel when you get told, or you're on shows like this, or you get reminded? I mean,
this is my first big show.
Big time.
Like this is huge.
Big time.
Yeah, no, look, I've been watching the last few days as well, and listening to Lisa and to Leanne, and just inspiring women doing amazing things. And I, like Leanne, I think Leanne said, it's kind of talking about this is almost cathartic, and it helps you work through, because it is quite traumatic, work through that sort of trauma of what you've been through by sharing it, and hoping my hope is always that when I share my story, that it triggers something in someone that goes and gets checked out and, gets it earlier than most women do. So, for me, even though it's not always easy to talk about, I think to myself, like I've always thought we go through things for a reason. And, if my reason is that, I help somebody else, just one other woman in the process of getting detected early, then it's a good thing. So, so I really appreciate the opportunity to share that today. Yeah.
It's only a few years. You said it's quite recent for your friends and family. But in terms of trauma, are you in a position where you can reflect back or behind you a little bit and think about what's going on in your life that's different, that is related to trauma, and perhaps the different person you are? We understand trauma means very different things for very different people.
To different people, yeah, of course.
What's traumatic about it for you?
I think, it's coming up to, so it's the anniversary of things this year. So it was only last year that everything's like the anniversary of stuff's falling this year. And as things, and Facebook loves reminding you too of things that happened the year before, which is always really great. It's great when you're going on holidays, not so great when you're going through chemotherapy. But, I kept a pretty open book through my journey and shared it to the world through Facebook. So it's sort of like those sort of things are coming up. And I have found that, I'm sort of having dreams and having, like some restless nights and a bit of anxiety around things that I probably wouldn't have had before. But also it's just it's a good reminder to me about where I've been and where I am today. So I'm sort of taking those moments with also some gratitude that I'm actually here and able to talk to you guys and be here and be present and feeling generally pretty healthy. You know, and I'm back at full-time work and, you know, which is just awesome. And so, and back active with the family and doing things. And, you know, so there's lots to be grateful for in the midst of what was quite a traumatic experience. Yeah.
It's pretty obvious men can't get ovarian cancer.
No.
Was there anything in your life to date that prepares you for things like, and nothing's probably really as serious, I assume you haven't had anything as serious or unique as ovarian cancer in your life, but is there things that I guess prepare or you can draw on as a woman, either a tough pregnancy or I don't know, women go through some pretty serious physical and emotional stuff well before things like this come on, and men are very aloof about it all.
And we do go through a lot. Like, I mean, women, our bodies, and I think that's the thing, like the last few days, we've all talked about how, you know, people are asking, what are the symptoms? What did you know? How did you know? And it's, our bodies are so uniquely made that so much can go wrong with it. And so much does go wrong with it. You know, we've got women with endometriosis who have the similar pain to what I had. People who have, you know, really bad periods or really, you know, lots and lots of different things, or bowel problems, or, you know, all sorts of things that, so you go through these things and you sort of think, like I did, I was just like, oh, I'm going through menopause, or you know, you sort of put it down to other things because we're women and we just keep carrying on and we go, oh, it's just that, you know. And so I don't think that anything really prepares you for somebody saying you've got ovarian cancer or you've got cancer or breast cancer or anything. I think, you know, we all, that's something no one ever wants to hear and no one ever wants to go through. But I think as women, because we go through childbirth and labour and lots of those other things, we probably, there is a strength in us that goes, okay, this is what it is, so let's get on with it. What do we do? And that's sort of, you know, after the initial shock, that was sort of me like, okay, I trust my oncologist. What's next? What's going to happen? And just like, just did a day at a time, literally just went, okay, what's today? What am I doing today? And because you can't, the things that I didn't know about cancer was phenomenal. Like, I thought I knew stuff. I knew nothing. Like, I was like, there's more than one type of chemo. I didn't know that, you know, like I was just like, no. And like, it was just because people say, oh, I'm having chemotherapy. And so you all just assume you've got the same bag of chemotherapy. It's not. There's so many different types of chemotherapies out there. And how mine was administered was completely different from how other people's is administered, and for different reasons. And so there's lots that you can prepare for, lots that you can think. But the only advice I would give is just trust your doctors. Take a day at a time. Don't overthink it. Just, you know, and whatever you're feeling at the time is valid. And the thing that I found amazing with the medical team was that nothing was weird. You know, I'd start every conversation with them, I'm sorry, I feel this. And they're like, well, of course you do. You know, like it was nothing was strange or weird, or because everybody experiences it differently. And it's, you know, so.
I'd imagine that would be one of the things that can rattle you and shake you off your path, is thinking that you're unique and you don't want to be the weird one, the one of a billion people that's got the cold or the runny nose and my nose is bleeding. What's going on? Why? I've got a random. It might be encouraging at least to go, well, you're the 80th person today that's come in and had a blood nose. Shush. That might be helpful.
Calm your farm and just take your meds, like, you know. Like, and I was like, I was forever apologetic because, like, I was just, because I had this, Duncan always laughs at me because I had like a romanticized idea about chemotherapy. Like, I'd sit in the sun with a nice shawl over my shoulders, you know, sipping an iced tea or something.
Playing croquet like, in the fields.
Yes, like I'd be sick, like vomit a little bit and then I'll be right, you know. Nah, it was nothing like that. I was so sick. I'd have 3 days of being okay after chemo, and then I would hit this bottomless pit of pain and awfulness. And for 10 days, I just like literally the first few days I don't remember. I'd have like almost like I don't remember days. I'd lose days, and it was just crazy. And I'd end up back in hospital because I'd get infections, and it was nothing like how I imagined it would be. It was, and so I'd ring the 24-hour nurses and go, "This is happening. Is that normal?" And they're like, "Well, it is for you. That's your experience." Like, because everybody experiences the chemo in a different way. And mine was quite aggressive. Like I said to you in my message, it was 6 hours I'd be in the chair, like a whole day. So Duncan dropped me off in the morning and picked me up in like late afternoon. And and it was like I had 2 different types of chemo going through my system. And it was pretty intense, but like nothing that I imagined, like completely different to what I imagined. Yeah.
It's like when I went to an NBA game for the first time, similar to that. It's like, wow, there's nothing like I imagined.
Yeah,
they're
similar
completely
to
different.
That,
It's a stupid joke.
But with less drugs, I think.
There was. Hey, where do you draw the line when it comes to talking about it? You're the celebrity in a sad way, but everyone wants to talk to you about it. Where do you draw the line in going, I've just had enough? You bump into people at the supermarket. Did you have times where you just like shush?
Oh, look, supermarket talk. I just it's usually I'm doing well, and just a quick one. But if people want to sit with me and have a really robust conversation about it, I'm not afraid of it. Like I'm really like, because I think a lot of people sometimes, like with me, I've known a lot of people who've had cancer sort of peripherally. You don't have those really deep conversations. And I think now I wish I'd sat with that person and heard more about their experience, and maybe that would have helped me in my experience. So I'm always happy to have that really deep conversation about it, because there's so much that happened to me in my journey. There was other things that were discovered while I was going through cancer that I didn't know about my body and about what's going on and why I got cancer. So a lot of people don't get that. I did a genetics test, and they found out that I've got a mutated gene called BRCA1 and BRCA1. And it actually means that I'm highly susceptible to ovarian cancer and breast cancer. And so there are people who find that out earlier in life, and they actually take measures to stop themselves by having mastectomies and full hysterectomies from getting the cancer. So I found that out, and I've been told that I've got an 80% chance of it returning. So those are things that I found out on my journey as well, and things that I think really need to be spoken about as well, that there's these other underlying things. So there's some people who they just don't know why they got cancer. There's people who have the genetics test, there's nothing, they're perfectly fine, and they just got cancer. And then there's people like me who there is a predisposed genetic deformity that has me more able to have cancer. So so there's those sort of conversations I'm really happy to have. Like I want to have them if women want to have them with me, because I think those sorts of things are really important to talk about, and that there are so many different and these amazing scientists and people who are OCRF who are doing this work. I'm also on a medication now, on a oral chemotherapy that will help keep that cancer springing up again, and that's because of the research they've done. And I'm monitored all the time, like monthly blood tests kept. I'm seeing my oncologist every month.
Wow.
And just monitored all the time while having this oral chemotherapy. So the work that they do is just so important. And for my ongoing health and others.
A friend of mine, Alex, actually remembers you saying you were off to your first chemo treatment last year on radios. That's an interesting
how
milestone.
cool is that? I remember that. Yes, because I remember logging in, just like I woke up and I'm just like, let me just get some really good radio in before I head out.
Yeah, that's right.
And I remember you did a call out to me, and I said, I'm just about to head in, and you're like, oh my gosh. I remember that morning very, very clearly. It was very yeah, it was a big day. But yeah, really. And like I mentioned to you, I did my chemo all through lockdown. So
Yeah, right.
I had no support. I wasn't allowed to have Duncan in with me. He was allowed in for the first hour of my first treatment.
Really?
And then never allowed in again. Yeah, because they couldn't have any visitors in the chemo ward because of COVID.
Far out.
And then I also had to have some more surgery halfway through my chemotherapy at the Royal Women's, and again did that by myself. Dunk was allowed to visit, but not allowed to stay. And it was intense. It was like another layer of stuff on top of chemo. Just throw COVID in there as well. Yeah.
How important's family during these times? I mean, I'm sure you love your family so much, and I know some of them, they're just such beautiful support.
You're going to make me cry now. What are you doing?
They're such supportive people. I can't imagine what it was like to tell your parents. I don't know what your mum would have... What did your mum do?
I've never seen my parents cry so hard. I think that was... I remember Duncan saying when he saw my mum cry, it stopped him crying. It was that shocking, like, to see my mum that upset and my dad that upset. And, of course, we cried when we got the news because we found out, like, firstly, we found out that it was ovarian cancer, and then a week later we found out that it had spread and that it was stage 3. And so it just was like one bad news day after another. And, driving down to Torquay and telling mum and dad, that was probably, besides the girls, of course, besides telling my girls, one of the hardest things I've had to do. But their support, like, I can't tell you, Troy. I mean, my mum and dad, you guys. I've got to tell everybody out there. I was just talking to mum the other day and she goes, oh my gosh, Troy, we used to take him away with us when we went on holidays, and he and Clem, the rat bags, they'd be looking at girls all the time. And mum and dad and like Dunk and the girls, I couldn't have done it without them. I mean, it was just because it was a full family effort to get it, like, just to get me. I did nothing. Yeah. Like, everybody did everything for me. It was just mum would come in and clean the whole house and look after me if Dunk had to go out, and look after the girls. And, the girls were helping me because I was having injections every day for the whole treatment. And so I got to a point where I couldn't give it to myself anymore. And Sabina and Duncan took over, and Sabina used to give my injections to me. And and Ruby was just my beautiful clown who's just used to, do her parkour skills around the lounge room to, entertain me. And she'd bounce off walls and scream out parkour at random times. And it still makes me laugh. It's hilarious. It's just like the funniest thing ever. And so look, and friends and family and my church were just amazing, bringing meals over, and like amazing support. I can't even begin to thank the amount of people. It was just overwhelming, the support we got, and people loving on Duncan and Ruby and Sabina as well, because, I'm so well taken care of by my medical team and people around me. And for me, it was really important that Dunk and the girls were also taken care of. And I encourage people out there, if you've got friends and family who are going through cancer, think about their partners and their kids, because we're really well taken care of. But, check into the partner to go, how you doing, mate? Are you coping? What can we do for you? Do you need a night out? Do you need this? Do you need that? Sure. Just to give them, some support. That's really important, because that gives them the energy then to look after me a bit more. And, it was a hard slog, but, as a family, we really came together and did it together, I think. Yeah.
When you're going to get lady checkups, is there an opportunity there for a doctor to consider that ovarian cancer might be living in your body? Is it that simple? I think that I've got this big answer. Is it that?
Yeah.
Is it that? Could it be that years earlier you go, hey, look, I've just been doing some research on ovarian cancer.
Yeah.
I think there is a chance that this could be ovarian cancer. Is that a tough thing to say to doctors, or
I think
should women be saying, look, because you had a sore back. You said you had a sore back from menopause, and you thought it was just menopausal related. Yeah,
I had really heavy period for like 3 weeks that just wouldn't stop, and then I had this really bad pain in my back, and I thought I'd done it in exercise. So I was doing all these physio stretches and trying to stretch it out, and it just went on forever. And I just kept putting it down to, I've just done my back and it's menopause. I'm 48, I'm heading down that road, sort of thing. And I went to my GP, and thank God and it was a new GP that I went to during COVID because I couldn't get into my another GP. And his sister had ovarian cancer. And he said to me, I think I'm just going to send you for an ultrasound. Let's just go straight to the ultrasound and get you ultrasound and have a look and see what's going on. And straight away they found this tumour the size of an orange on my right ovary, on my right ovary. And and that's how the ball started rolling. And then when that came back, I was referred straight to my gynecologist, who I've had forever. And he straight away went, you know what, Cindy, you're 47. Let's just get it out. Let's just do a partial hysterectomy and take a look and see what this thing is. And so it moved very quickly after that. Like it was just like bang, bang, bang. Wow. Did the surgery, found out, started chemo.
Wow.
But I had a doctor who was obviously, he's been affected by it. And he's looking for, he was, very aware of what the symptoms are with his sister and so on. But I think that women should be speaking up. I think they should be saying to their doctor, I've got real concerns. Like this is something, and what does it hurt to have an ultrasound? What does it hurt to have a blood test? Let's just do it, And I think we need to be more pushy about it.
My mother has experiences of walking out of doctors going, I just feel like I wasn't believed. That doctor, and it's usually a male doctor, and he's rushed. I don't understand the pressures of being a doctor, but it sounds like they're pressured or aloof, or they just want to scribe you off.
And sometimes
it's really scary.
The thing is too, Troy, sometimes I think when you've been with the same doctor for a long time, they can get complacent because they're used to seeing you. And so it's interesting that I just happened to change doctors in the middle, like because I couldn't get into the other doctor. I just said, okay, I'll see him, this other doctor, Dr. Nick Tithridge out at Maya Street is amazing. And he was just straight onto it. And he was so thorough and so, and he wasn't alarmist either. He was like, look, it could be anything. Let's just take a look. Let's just have a look and see and investigate it. And if it wasn't for him doing that, I might still be sitting here with a tumour. Yeah. I might not be. I don't know. So there's, I think sometimes changing doctors is not a bad thing to get, another opinion.
I was reading some stats here today. Listen to this one. Many women will have entered hospital to undergo exploratory surgery, so it's usually mistakenly found, but most will wake to find they have undergone a complete hysterectomy. This is full on.
That's full on. Yeah, that's pretty full on.
Full on.
And I was aware that I was having a partial hysterectomy. So I had my uterus and the bad ovary and the tumour removed in one surgery. And that night of the surgery, they came into my room and said, it all looks good. That was what happened. And I went home after my surgery 3 days later. And then about 7 days after that, I went and saw Nick, and just to look at my sutures and make sure everything was okay. And he sat me down and said, Cindy, I've just had a call from the surgeons. It's ovarian cancer. And that's how I found out. And then halfway through my treatment, I went and had the other ovary and tube removed at the Royal Women's. But so that was probably following that surgery was probably the sickest I've been, because I had to start chemo straight away after surgery. So it was full on. But that's shocking. I mean, that's really scary. But
it is.
If it's going to save your life, like if it's then they've got to do it, because it spreads it can go from ovarian to like for me it was like in my uterus and the pelvis as well. So so it can spread abdomen and pelvis. So it can spread pretty quickly too. So they've got to be aggressive with it. Yeah.
Where are you at now? And it must feel great to get in frocks, although it's about a serious topic. I mean, as stupid as this is, I walk out in front of my family and Lockie's laughing his head off while he's eating.
You're looking pretty in pink today. It's up there, a bit of lace and some satin. It's everything's
disgusting.
And hairy chest. It's amazing.
Stupid. But anyway, how are you now? And
I'm doing well now. I'm doing well. I'm like I said, I'm having oral chemotherapy every day, and that's going to be going for the next 2 years, just to sedate that gene and the chance of me coming back somewhere else. And just trying to get on with life, and back to work, full-time work, which I'm really enjoying, using my brain again, because the chemo fog is a real thing. You just you can't. I thought, I bought all these books thinking I'll read, and I couldn't read more than a couple of sentences. You just can't concentrate. And so that's really good to have, most of my brain cells back again.
Yeah, I bet.
And using them. And just, like everybody else, really not enjoying all these lockdowns and not being able to be with friends and family, now that I'm feeling healthier and well again. So looking forward to the next big Prince gathering, and seeing my brothers, and so.
Something that I love about you, Cindy, is just your personality. It's more accentuated when you're probably expected to be a bit flat, and you're still Cindy Lou, and you're still bouncing around. I'm sure it's an encouragement to just anyone that's kind of going through some tough times. The thing I kept saying to Duncan all the way through when I was going through it last year was like, I'm not going to let it take Cindy. I'm not going to let the other C take the other C. It's just not going to happen. Like, I had to, in the moments when I was feeling good, I really tried to just live my life as normal as possible. Like, I would still have a laugh, and, that's what got me through. I think just trying to, just stay me as much as possible, because I just didn't want it to overtake everything of me. It took a lot of stuff from me, but I didn't want it to take who I was at my core. And for me, laughing and having a bit of fun is really important. So I try to do that as much as I can. I've got a question that just got snuck in.
Sure.
How did you go emotionally with having a hysterectomy?
Yeah, look, I think because I'd had my kids, my youngest is 15, eldest is 21 now, and I wasn't really attached to it. Like, that's what I thought before I had it. Probably about 4 or 5 days after I had it, I had a bit of a blue couple of days where I was just like, what am I as a woman?
Sure.
What does that mean for me? Like, it's taken part of my womanhood, like, the thing that makes me intrinsically a woman, and what I do, like, sort of what you think you're here to do is to have babies and, all that sort of thing. So I did. At the time when they said you're having, I was like, yeah, fine, great, do it. Just take whatever you need to take. Yeah. And then it was like maybe 4 or 5 days after the surgery, I was like, whoa, that was really intense. And what does this all mean? And
wow.
Yeah. So it did knock the wind out of my sails for a couple of days there, just sort of reflecting on it. And I think that would be normal for anybody. And if people felt blue for longer than that too, that would be normal too. You know what I mean? Like, and particularly I think if you're younger and you maybe haven't felt like you're ready to finish having kids yet, or that would be even harder.
It would.
But I did have a bit of a reflective moment where I went, what does this all mean? And
Ulrich's on the chat right now. He said, love you, sis.
Hey,
I've forgotten what's the order? Is it Liccardo?
It's Liccardo, me, Ulrich, Clem. But everybody thinks the brothers are older than me. I'm the second eldest. Ulrich's after me.
Ulrich's younger than you?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. No, I got that. I got that vibe. I know you guys.
He's on the chat.
He's on the chat. He does listen to the show sometimes.
Good on him.
And got a message from Shelley. You're a beautiful, shining soul, Cindy. This is really lovely. And one of the founders, Andy, Lisa's husband, says, wow, amazing. Great job for getting that kind of awareness and money towards Frocktober. I'm looking forward to you. What are you wearing tomorrow?
So today, what's tomorrow? I can't remember which one it is tomorrow. But today I was dedicated to my friend who Marsha Uphill.
Ah, yes, beautiful.
And and I wore my bungel earrings for her as well. So so that's today. So I'm really enjoying. I'm doing a photo shoot once a week with my photographer Ruby Esler. My
cool.
And we're having an absolute blast. It's hilarious. Her telling me which way to stand and what to do, and so we're actually having a really good time. So once a week, I'm doing like massive, like 8 frocks at a time, changing jewelry, changing shoes. Like, it's like a crazy photo shoot, model photo shoot. And someone said to me, oh, you should become a model. I said, nah, I could never do it. I hate it. I work up a sweat just changing in and out of dresses all day. It's just too much.
Well, thank you for coming on today, Cindy, and talking about something serious, but also bringing a little bit of humour and light around it, which I think accentuates our attention in weird ways. But
yeah,
I'm all up for supporting you, and I hope today brings more awareness to
yeah.
just the average woman going to get checked out. We need to get.
I hope so
the
too.
latest
And please
times.
support Frocktober, support Troy, and put some more money in his coffers. And every single dollar counts. It all goes to amazing research and projects. So that's going to help us all.
I love you, Cindy. Thanks heaps for coming.
Love
on.
you heaps. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. Stick around for some
Have a great morning,
jams.
everyone.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.